Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hot Zone. I'm your host, Jason Robinson. And in the Hot Zone today, we have got a very special guest. We have got CNN anchor and author, Mr. Don Lemon. We're going to speak to him about his brand new book called This is the Fire, What I Say to My Friends About Racism, and his brand new show on CNN, Don Lemon Tonight. All that and more. So stay tuned, because you're in the Hot Zone.
This is Don Lemon Tonight. Has a ring to it, doesn't it? I think so.
And welcome back to the Hot Zone. We have a very special guest with us today. We have got CNN anchor and journalist, Mr. Don Lemon. Welcome to the Hot Zone, Don.
Hey, Jason, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I woke up to see another day, so I'm doing great.
Hey, amen. I'm with you, brother, on that. Thank the Lord, right?
There you go. Thank the Lord, God Almighty. I'm really so excited for everything that's going on in your career. Of course, you've got the new book, it's called This is the Fire, What I Say to My Friends About Racism. Of course, there you go, brother. There you go. And of course, your new show on CNN, Don Lemon Tonight. We're going to get into all of that a little bit later. But first, I just wanted to ask, how have you held up during the whole COVID-19 pandemic that we went through? How did you hold up? And, there's different sporting events that fans are attending now. I know the mask mandates were dropped, but what's your thoughts on the world opening up again?
Well, listen, it's been one heck of a year. I think it's fair to say it's been one hell of a year.
Yeah.
We all went through a lot. We lost a lot of loved ones, many of us, people who are close to us. Many people were sick, obviously. We saw George Floyd. So you asked me what I thought about, the mask mandate being lifted. I'm happy, not that I am happy the mask mandates are being lifted, but I'm happier because we have a vaccine.
Yeah.
And that people are getting vaccinated. It could be better. More people could be getting vaccinated. We should, especially as Black folks, we should be getting vaccinated and not playing by the old rules in the old days and listening to people who aren't scientists or doctors or conspiracy and people who are conspiracy theorists who are telling us not to get vaccinated. Go get vaccinated. There were Black people who actually helped in the development of this vaccine. Every smart person on the planet will tell you the vaccine is safe, so get vaccinated. So I am hopeful. I am optimistic about the future. I think we have a long way to go as it comes to the pandemic. It is, I think, in the last stages if we continue to be smart about it, but it's definitely not over. And we have a lot of work to do when it comes to that, and a lot of work to do when it comes to racism in America, and how we are going to decide in the future to use our police forces or the police in America in the most productive manner. So I'm optimistic about all that.
Not wearing the mask, I
feel free, Jason. I feel free, but it's weird. I had to get to that. I was just taking a walk around town,
right.
And it was weird. Like I keep the mask in my pocket, right? Mm-hmm. But you don't have to wear it if it's not. So I always have it, and it feels like a security blanket. But actually, at first, when I was like when I first started walking around without it, I felt like I was doing something wrong.
You're right.
Yeah. And a lot of people now, it's like this whole, political thing. It's like, you don't have to wear the mask in certain situations. If you're fully vaxxed, then just if you believe in the science, and believe in the science, take the mask off. Just, let's move on.
I'm a self-admitted hypochondriac myself, so I will be continuing to wear the mask.
I still wear it, businesses still require it.
Right.
But the only time is if I'm outside and not in a crowd of people, I'm not going to wear the mask because I don't have to. And actually the mask, you put it on over the nose, it makes me sneeze more than not wearing it.
Yeah, it does. It bothers my allergies too. You were born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, right? How was it like growing up in Louisiana, and what's your fondest memories there?
Summers were beautiful there.
Mm-hmm.
It was hot and, it's muggy and whatever. I'm used to it. I love it. People will probably come from some other part of the country and say, woof, is it always this hot here? I love running around. As a matter of fact, Jason, I said, I'm going to have a summer like I had when I was a child, because, who knows how much if anything, if the pandemic and the events of the last year, even the last 4-5 years, if they've shown us anything, we don't know what's to come, what's going to happen, what, how much good days we have left or bad or what have you. So I decided that I'm going to have a great summer. I'm just going to have fun. I'm going to have the summer of a child. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do, like I did when I was growing up. So Louisiana was great growing up. It is a very rich and lush place with greenery and, vegetation and food and the smells and the sounds, everything. It's like everything it's magnified. Mm-hmm. And so I loved that part of it. And it was beautiful Christmases. We didn't have white Christmases because it didn't snow there. Right. And it wasn't really that cold for Christmas. But I really loved my summers in Louisiana. There's just nothing in the world like it.
Far cry from New York City, huh?
Oh, yeah. New York City has great summers, but, you're stuck in the heat in the city or whatever. And I want to run around barefoot again, like I did in Louisiana. Yeah.
At what point did you realize that journalism was the career path that you wanted to pursue?
I didn't know specifically that it was journalism, but as I write and I talk about, I've always been curious as a child. Mm-hmm. My parents would tell me stories about when I was a kid, how I would go to different people's tables at restaurants, would start talking to random people. My mom would say, "Hey, come back here, get over here." And my dad would tell her, "Well, don't make that boy be afraid of people. Let him go, let him alone." And so I think then I've always been curious about what makes people work, what makes things work, what's the truth about everything, why is this this way? And so I think early on, even though I didn't have a name for it, I think that was the beginning of my journalism. Yeah. But I decided to be a journalist when I think it was in college, my freshman year in college or senior high school, something like that. I saw this woman named Jean West, who was on television. She was a Black woman, and she sounded and looked and acted like my family. And it wasn't sort of this caricature of a Black family like Good Times. Yeah. And I was like, oh, wow, look at her. That's what I want to be. And then from that day on, I pursued journalism.
That is so cool. Yeah, you're a people person. You like to speak to people. You have that curiosity factor. So that's always going to work in your favor for any journalist. Yeah.
Right on.
A year of the tragic death of George Floyd. With the guilty verdict that came down against Derek Chauvin, is that promising to you in terms of we're moving in the right direction of police reform? Like the bad cops are saying, hey, listen, I can't continue to act like this because this is going to land me in a world of trouble. Like, what's your thoughts on that?
So the George Floyd case was obviously monumental, right? Just his death, the unrest that followed, and the verdict. Yeah. And I think that is momentous. I think it's important, and I think it's one example. Mm-hmm. And so I will take it. Mm-hmm. But I want to see other examples of not only police officers, but people in authority being held accountable for discrimination, for racism, and for abuse, for physical police brutality and physical abuse of Black people. And so I just want to see more. I think that, this is a good start. Yeah. Let's see what happens. We have other cases that are happening where we're seeing, things that are similar to George Floyd. We have the case in Louisiana, where I'm from, mm-hmm. Of the guy who was abused by police. Right. And the video just came out after 2 years. His family's looking for justice. So I think it's to be determined. Good start, to be determined.
A lot more work to do. Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely. Now, you have your new book out right now. It's called This Is the Fire, right? What I say to my friends about racism. Tell us all about the book and why you decided to write it.
I decided to write it because this book, James Baldwin's The Fire Next Time, had the biggest influence on me as a young man, and then just, in general, as an adult, as it comes to racism. And also James Baldwin happened to be a gay man as well. So very relatable, all of his subject matter. I started reading him when, again, as a freshman in college, and couldn't put it down. I read everything in the Baldwin canon. And so, in this book, he says, God gave Noah the rainbow sign, no more water, the fire next time, meaning that we needed to deal in a substantial way, in a very considerable way, with racism in this country. And if not, the fire was going to come. There would be hell to pay. So last time it was a flood. And then now the destruction, I believe, of America and the planet could be racism and discrimination.
Yeah.
And after George Floyd happened, I said, you know what, we're in the middle of the fire now. This is the fire that James Baldwin talked about. So he starts this book with a letter to his nephew on the 100th anniversary of the Emancipation Proclamation, where he says, you know, James, we're celebrating, his nephew is James as well. Okay. We're celebrating the 100 years of freedom, 100 years too soon. And I couldn't be with my family because I was in quarantine. So I was feeling guilty about the world that I was about to hand off to my great nephews. And I decided to sit down and write a letter to them because I couldn't show them how much I loved them. I couldn't be with them. And that's how the book starts, with a letter to my great nephews. Once that letter came out, the book just poured out. It just came. Yeah.
So now you have conversations with your friends about racism, but what can we do besides? Because I feel like we're always speaking to our friends, Don, about having conversation about racism, and the talks just go on and on and on, but we feel like nothing else, nothing really changes. So what else can we do besides just having that conversation? Is there anything else we can do?
Besides just having that conversation, yeah, you have to do the work. But I also think that we have to get out of our bubbles. We can't be so polarized. We can't be so segregated.
Yeah.
I know that it's frustrating and tiresome after a while to have to continue to talk to non-people of color about racism and discrimination, but right. We have to, as James Baldwin said, that we've got to, as much as we may not like it, the continuation of America depends on Black people having to educate white folks, in a sense, about racism. And I know it gets tiring, and trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to do it. So I think that what we have to do is do the work. Every time we see discrimination, every time we see something that's not right, we have to point it out. Mm-hmm. But we also have to be in relationships, friendships, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Colleagues, obviously, you've had people at work, but the work is the easy one.
Right.
And associates of people, you have to associate with people who don't look like you.
Right.
So that you develop trust and you have a place to go, someone to go to as a sounding board. Mm-hmm. And so I really think that we're going to solve this through relationships. And then after that is done, then you have to start doing the work. And because I say racism is like a spell.
Yeah.
And you got to snap out of it. And once you begin to realize that you're in a spell, and once you begin to that you're under a spell, and you begin to, someone starts to point out the inequities, and you start to see them because they don't exist for you if you don't have to deal with it. That's the whole point of privilege, right? That it doesn't exist to you. And then you will start to point things out, and you won't be involved in the BS. You'll see the BS, and you'll say, wow, this is some BS. And you'll start to point it out. You'll get educated about it. And then you'll be able to hold people to account on their bias, unconscious bias, or whatever it is, or overt racism.
Yeah, I think, racism is kind of like cancer. It's like we are always looking to eradicate it. And, it's hard. It's like racism will never end. It's kind of like we have to just manage it, like mental health, right? It's just like an everyday basis kind of thing like that.
And if you manage it, look, I think that you can definitely shrink the tumor if we're talking in terms of cancer.
True.
And we can certainly make it more benign in a sense. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't think we're never going to end discrimination and, 100% for any group.
So if there is one message that you want your readers to get from This is the Fire, what would that message be?
Obviously the message is to read it.
Right.
I think the message is to read the book with an open mind, and understand that the book is not accusatory. It's not cancel culture, quote, I hate that term, but it's not any of that. It's actually a very honest and even prescriptive call to action for people. And I think you will learn. It's also, there are history lessons in there. So I would say, I do believe that the book is essential for our times. I think it speaks to every single thing that we're dealing with now that we started to deal with openly on May 25th, 2020, when George Floyd's life was snuffed out of him on the streets of Minneapolis.
Right. Well, not only do you have this great new book, you have a new show on CNN. And listen, a lot of your fans got through COVID, Don, but you gave them a little bit of a heart attack almost by having them think that you were leaving CNN. So tell us about that little bit of frenzy you caused and about your new show It's your new show, Don Lemon Tonight. Tell us all about it, man.
It was a little bit of a tease, and I was being coy. I think people took it, too seriously. I never said I was leaving CNN. I was just like, hey, CNN Tonight with Don Lemon. It's the end of an era. Tune in on Monday to find out what's happening. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're leaving. I said, no. I had to go back and say, I didn't say I was leaving.
You didn't.
I said you'd have to tune in. Trust me, it's all good. But yeah, this show, I mean, I won't say it's the old show. Mm-hmm. It is, there's a new name and a renewed mission for the 2 hours that we hold in prime time on CNN. 10 to midnight.
What is it? What's your renewed mission?
To do what this book says, to hold people to account, to call people out, to not make people feel good about their biases or not to assuage anyone's guilt, but to hold people accountable and to move the culture forward in a positive way. It doesn't have to be political, but in a more humane way. I want people to begin to see each other's humanity, and I don't want to make excuses for BS, and I don't want to offer a platform to people who are lying to the American people and trying to mislead people. That's what our mission is.
Well, I saw you covered a topic, and you talked about this earlier, cancel culture. Why is that so important for you to cover that topic, and what's your thoughts on it?
Because I don't like the little cancel culture. I don't like that phrase, but I think that we have to start allowing people to be human. Mm-hmm. Human beings are fallible. Mm-hmm. And we have to allow people to make mistakes and to make restitution. America is about redemption. And listen, if someone continues to be a bigot or a racist, or they continue to do things, okay, fine. Then, if you want to, I hate to say cancel people, but I don't think that we should be offering platforms for people like that. Mm-hmm. But if someone genuinely makes a mistake or does something that people don't like, and then they explain and there's nuance, okay, fine. I think that, we got to stop that. And we have to stop going back into people's past and looking for things. And because I'm not the same person I was a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. And people evolve and they grow. And I think you have to allow people to be able to do that, but hold them to account.
Right.
And sometimes the accountability is in the awakening and in the process of holding them to account. It doesn't mean that you have to cancel people or get rid of them because they're human beings.
Right. You have a lot of people out there that are angry at like the Central Park Karens of the world, and then Morgan Wallin, he just won an award on a Billboard, a music award last night. He used the N-word and everything. So, I guess people are angry sometimes, and, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, I agree. It is tough, but I think every situation should be handled on its own individual merits, and everything should be an individual moment. So no situation is equal. Right. Not everything is a 4-alarm fire, right? And so there are some things that are more egregious than others. And so we have to, we got to start figuring that out for everything, not just for racism, but for everything.
Very true. Absolutely. Amen. Now there's no secret that there's no love lost between, you and the previous administration. What are your thoughts on the new administration and the job that President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are doing right now?
And that is, we got a vaccine coming out. People are taking it. Right. We're listening to scientists and doctors. We're not telling people to drink bleach or put lights inside their bodies or disinfectant. We're not getting misinformation from the podium. And the adults are in charge. And so I say, this has nothing to do with my ideology or my political beliefs. I think the new administration is doing a good job. I think they're acting with integrity. I think the adults are in charge. I think that their competency is back. Maturity is back. Dignity is back. And I think people can have confidence in their government again. Does that mean that they're perfect? No. No one is perfect. No administration is perfect. But we're getting money in people's pockets. The economy is improving. And so what we have right now, I'll take it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And let's hold them to account as well. They have to be held accountable. The American people voted them in, and they had certain expectations for them. So let's see if they live up to them. And so far, it's the beginning of a new administration, and I think they're doing a good job.
They absolutely are. Now, you've been at CNN since 2006, and you are still there strong today. Are you still having fun? Is it still challenging to you? What is it like so many years later for you still?
It's still challenging and it's still fun. And the moment that it stops being that way, then I won't do it anymore. The last 4 years were very tough. 5 years were extremely tough. 2015 to 2021, and even now it's still tough.
Yeah.
But I'm a soldier, and I'm going to continue on, and no one is going to stop me from doing my job and doing my life's work. And so I'll continue on in the same vein. There are ebbs and flows, ups and downs in every situation. I am grateful that I have this platform. I am blessed and fortunate to have it, and I'll continue to use it and respect it, and to do the work of the people in the most respectful and dignified way possible. Yeah.
Now, I love the bromance that you and Chris Cuomo have during your banter in between shows. How did that bromance evolve between you two? And tell us about the new podcast that you guys have.
Well, it started because we're actually friends. We actually spent time together this weekend, and our conversations that we have off the air just continued on the air. And, people want to call it a bromance, but really it's just honest conversation between two people who like each other and two people who actually have a relationship. We're actually friends. We have a new podcast coming out called The Handoff, which is what we do every night between my show and his show. We're going to continue to do that, but we're going to do it probably even a more no holds barred fashion in our podcast, and dig deeper. And we have a little bit more leeway, probably a lot more leeway,
right? Because
there are certain expectations that you have when you're on television, and certain parameters that you have, but then you don't have those guardrails or parameters when you're doing a podcast. And we certainly intend to take advantage of that. So if you're not easily offended, then you definitely want to tune into the podcast. And if you are easily offended, then you definitely need to tune in, because we're gonna toughen you up.
Well, I love how you are so truthful in your reporting, and Chris as well. I love the truth, and you say what you mean, and you keep it real, and that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
When you're not working and you're not reporting and not being an author of your books, what does Don Lemon do to unwind, to relax, and to have fun?
I am a Pisces, very much a water and a beach person. So you'll find me at the beach, or you'll find me on a boat or swimming on a lake somewhere. And it's as simple as that. That's my Zen zone. And that's what keeps me going. That's where it rejuvenates and refills me and revitalizes me.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the Hot Zone, Don. You've got the new book, This Is the Fire, What I Say to My Friends About Racism. Where can everybody get the book, Don?
You can get it anywhere books are sold. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Barnes & Nobles. But what I like to do, I love people to go and shop at their local bookstores. And if you can, go to your local bookstore, buy it, or order it from your local bookstore online, because we need local book providers. It's very important. We need local bookstores. And even just beyond the book, shop locally in your own community. It really makes a difference.
We definitely will. And of course, we will tune into Don Lemon tonight, weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CNN. Thank you so much for joining me in the Hot Zone, Don.
Thank you. It was a real pleasure, and I hope to see you soon. Have a great summer, okay?
Yeah, you come back anytime, man. Appreciate you.
People have been asking me, what are you going to give Chris for Valentine's Day? And so here it is, Chris. I have a card for you.
Oh.
And there you go.
It's beautiful.
Hi, I'm Don Lemon, and I'm in the Hot Zone.